Part of Ecuador are the Galapagos Islands, which are located 1,000 kilometers off its Pacific continental coast. To get there, you have to fly from Guayaquil to the small island of Baltra, which is located just to the north of the main island of Santa Cruz. Most of the action is in Santa Cruz. Let's just backtrack. Your flight to the Galapagos will start from Quito or from Cuenca. In my case, it was Cuenca, with a stopover in Guayaquil. Now here's the thing, I arrived 2 hours in advance of my flight leaving, and I just barely made it onto the plane. It's a very confusing situation. When you go to the departures and so on, you're wasting your time because the flights to the Galapagos Islands leave from a different place in the terminal. It took me the longest time to figure that out. Furthermore, there are lengthy forms to be filled out, intensive searches of your luggage, trying to keep the Galapagos Islands biologically safe. Anyway, I just barely made it onto the plane. Exhausted, let's say that. Important point, Ecuador does not have its own airline. It's served by the Colombian airline Avianca and the Chilean airline LATAM. So check their websites for prices. When you arrive on the island of Baltra, the airport is called Seymour. As I said, I don't do much research previous to travel, so this was all new to me, and I really didn't understand the context, but there it is, the airport of Seymour. When you get off the plane, you immediately feel the heat, the humidity, and you kind of look around, and everything is kind of barren. There isn't it's not the nice vegetation that you would expect in some tropical island. It's more volcanic. It looks kind of, not very welcoming, I must say. So, yeah, that was my first impression. And then there were more surprises waiting for me, just ready to pounce. I was surprised by the number of people that were arriving at the same time. Must have been over, it seemed like 200 people, and the waiting time was about half an hour. The usual, you had to have a return ticket, a passport, but the real surprise was the $200 that you have to pay for entry into the national park. The entire islands of the Galapagos are a national park, and you need to have entry into that park. Unfortunately, the entry fee had to be paid in cash in US dollars. I didn't have 200 US dollars on me, so I was in a bit of a panic. They took me off to the side, and they had a primitive visa machine, and I was able to put it on my visa. Whew, crisis avoided. Now, here's the thing. When you're landing at Baltra Island in the Galapagos, at Seymour Airport, you're actually landing at GPS. The International Air Transport Association, or IATA, gives every airport around the world a 3-letter code, and this one happens to be GPS, which are the letters associated with the famous Global Positioning System. So it's the only place in the world where you can land on the GPS. Outside the airport, I saw a very gratifying sign, "Don't feed the Darwin finches." Wow, there are Darwin finches here. Who knew? From the airport, you take a 10-minute shuttle bus to the canal that is between the island of Baltra and the island of Santa Cruz, the main island. And here's a photo of the barge that takes you to Santa Cruz, the island of Santa Cruz. Once you arrive at the other side, there is a bus that basically crosses the whole island to get you to Puerto Ayora, which is located on the south coast of the island. It seemed like the bus trip was about an hour long. And there is the long and short of it, but I would say that anybody who goes to the Galapagos Islands has got to follow this particular procedure to get to Puerto Ayora, because that is the big city, so-called big city in the Galapagos Islands, and you just got to go there. Everything starts from there. My hotel, which was part of my all-inclusive package, was a Hotel Pelican Bay, and I was glad to see that it was only about a 5-minute walk away from the port in Puerto Ayora. Delightful. Everything was walkable. The restaurant was just around the corner, very convenient. This photo was taken from the hotel, and at this point I have a sense of relief that everything went well so far. And I have a place to sleep, I have a place to eat, and it's going to be all beautiful from here on, maybe. The restaurant, as I said, it was called Nazca Essencia Restaurant, was very, very close, only steps from the hotel. I was entitled to lunch there and supper, and it tended to be nice stuff like this. But a lot of fish. It was good. And it was included in my all-inclusive package. See vlog number 20 for all the details. Thank you for viewing, and join me in the next vlog as I stroll through the beautiful town of Puerto Ayora. Puerto Ayora. It's a name that doesn't stick too well with the memory, but it is a beautiful place, as you will see. And it is the hub of the Galapagos Islands.